How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another advanced tutorial. This is part 7, and this is all about staying organized. I had mentioned in the previous tutorial how important it is to organize all of your assets, but this is going to show you exactly how I do it, and I think this is an effective way to be on top of your stuff. So organization requires energy up front, but ultimately creates efficiency for the future. There isn't a time investment required to get organized first, then begin your process. But I guarantee you, when you start the project organized, you're gonna be able to get things done faster, and you can also go back to it later on without any complications. Because when you just throw things together, it is so easy to get lost, especially when you hand work over to another person or another editor. They're going to get lost too. So I know it's not perfect. There's no perfect system to it because there's so many moving parts. But as an editor, we should be working towards that efficiency. So the 3 goals of organization is easy access. All right. No wasted searching. How many times have you gone through your hard drive or Google Drive or whatever drive and try to find a file and you didn't know what you named it, and it just repeats that process over and over and over again? And that is just insanity. Okay. I hate doing that. I hate digging. So you want to have everything in a located place where you remember how to do it, and you also can call upon it again. Number 2, to be able to reuse and repurpose things. This is so important, especially today. You want to maximize your content. And if you know where it's at and you know what it's titled and you know how to use it, you can repurpose it and reuse it in other pieces of content. So it doesn't just go to waste, and it just doesn't die in a hard drive, or it doesn't die on Google Drive somewhere. And if you know it exists, somebody will use it. So number 3, it creates systems for sharing and scaling. This is also very important. If you have a bigger team, you work with other team members, if you want to do collaborations, multiple people are editing one single file, like, you got to be organized there, because other people may be more organized than you or less organized. And however way you pass it on, you just want to make sure there's a system. All right. And it's like just being courteous, especially being courteous. Like, you don't want to just like drop a bunch of clothes in front of someone and be like, here you go. Like, when you have it neatly organized and maybe organized by different shirt type or color even, gosh, does that make your life easier for the next person, right? Versus like, okay, now, well, I have to do it. So that's just a courteous thing. So there's 4 different areas to organize. You have your folders on your computer. You have the assets themselves. You have the file names, okay? And you have your Premiere project. All right, so let's break these down really quick. Let's break down the folders. So our typical folder structure, and this could be different for everyone. All right, I just want to preface that. You can have your own folder structure. This is not one to copy 100% if it doesn't work for you. Totally fine. But here's what we use. So we have our main folder, we have our RAWs, we have our export, which is like the final video, and then we have our references folder, which is all of your Premiere project folders. Okay. So under here, we have a lot of subfolders. Under export, we have subfolders. Everything we have here, we have subfolders, but these are 3 main folders. Okay, so the main folder looks like this. If you have a PC, it might look a little differently, but I use Mac. So you have your export, raw, ref, and then under our RAWs, we have these typical categories: animations, B-roll, brand assets, hooks, modular clips, photography. Remember the modular categories we had? That's basically where all of this will go. And because we work on a per project basis where we have lots of different clients, we will, these main folders will be like the client's name, right? Or the project name. So we follow this same structure each and every time. So it's worth having, creating these folders ahead of time, and then just copying and pasting them into a new, anytime a new project comes up. Here is what the export folder looks like. And this is so we have like asset number 1, 2, 3, 4. And then we have our references file, where this is like the file that we would share with any other editor if they wanted to go in the project and, re-edit it. All of the assets, the graphics, the music, the sound effects, the stock, the visual effects would all be within these folders. So it's not just cluttered into one folder. And, it doesn't happen every single time in that perfect way, but ideally this is what we want. We want the consistency. We want the organization. it's going to make our lives easier, especially, if you're going to link assets, you don't know where it is. It's just extra work and it's unnecessary. It takes up time. I hate it. Okay, so next area to organize is your assets themselves. Okay, so this is a shoot that we recently did. It was for Ella Ola, and I had mentioned this brand in a previous module, but this is what it looks like, before organization. I just dumped everything into a folder. Now, when this happens, like sometimes I'm in a rush and I'll just dump everything and then hand it off to an editor with this, but it causes a ton of confusion if you weren't there on the shoot, right? So as an editor, if you just got this huge thing, it would be very hard to be like, okay, what's going on here? You would have to watch every single clip to know what everything is and what video it belongs to. So what you want to do, if you're responsible for shooting, well, maybe if you're not, this is editor course, but just as a rule of thumb, even if you are an editor and you got something like this, you're going to want to organize it in these types of folders, right? So going through them and be like, okay, this is a hook, this is application, this is UGC, this is a dropper, these are photos. So what I'm doing here, I'm basically just taking what I see and creating a subfolder for it. I'm finding the pattern of shots and I'm creating a group from it. And I think this is very valuable because you'll see similarities in the shots, and it's nice to just group them all together, especially when you're editing them. It's like, okay, I know where all my dropper shots are. I know where all my pregnant shots are. I know where all my application shots are. I know where, and the list goes on. Because like, if they're not all in one place, you could miss an opportunity to review a shot that, was maybe a good shot that you could use in the video. So, going from, from this is a lot more manageable as, when you're in the timeline. So you can just drag and drop this entire thing into your timeline and you already have some sort of organization happening, right? Now you can take it to a next level and you can actually organize the file names themselves, depending on how much time you have and how much focus you have. If you're ADD like me, sometimes actually, I enjoy it. It's just that I have kids, so it's hard to name the files every time, but ideally in a perfect world, I would be. So this is an example of a project where we did the file naming. And remember, when it comes to file naming, it doesn't have to be this perfect wild system that you have each and every time, although it can be. This is primarily for your own organization. If you're editing the video or someone else is editing the video, naming the files beforehand, you want to name the files before it gets into Premiere, okay? Because when you rename them in Premiere, it doesn't rename the actual raw file, and it's kind of like, double work to have to do it both times. So when you rename a file and you bring it into Premiere or whatever software you're using, it's already named that file. So it actually adds an additional layer of categorization and organization for you. And what I do is just, a feature, action, and then the version. Just simple like that. So it's like, okay, this is the back zipper moving up version 1. Especially if there's multiple shots, I'll just do like V1, V2, V3, just to keep it really simple for me. This makes a huge difference in my timeline, in my ability to sort and filter through good shots and ones that I don't need. So I definitely recommend doing this. Like I said, it takes a lot of energy up front to do this, but ultimately will make you more efficient in the long run. Okay, so here is an example of modular clip naming, and there is a tutorial on how to create modular clips. But basically this one is more, I would say more detailed, but you can still follow similar structured. So the whole point of modular clip, creating modular clips is finding the key points in your video, which are actually usable, and then creating little individual clips out of them so that they're drag and drop onto your timeline and you don't have to do any scrubbing or anything additional to the video. So this is an example of what that looks like. And without going too much in the detail of how to do this, because there is a tutorial on how to do it, this is an example. It's like, it's very easy for me as an editor to be like, all right, I need some pain point shots. I need, blood or whatever the case may be. This is just descriptive, right? Versus like the M1459.mp4. Like, I don't know what that is. I don't know what that means. So, just another layer of organization. It just helps you as an editor, makes it more clear and makes you more effective. All right. The next place to organize is obviously your Premiere project. So let's have a look at that. This is how we do it. We have our raw, our sequence, our music, sound effects, stock, graphics, and visual effects. If you're an editor, you probably already know what these mean, but every project should start like this. That way, you don't have to recreate these every time. You got your raw footage, your sequences, pretty straightforward stuff here. Graphics could be your brand assets. And you can obviously add to this too if there's anything additional you want, but keeping everything in their parent folders is really important. So you don't have everything just dragging into the main folder. I know it's tempting to do that, and sometimes I do it myself, but I like to go back and then put everything into their respective folder. Again, if you're sharing this project with someone else, it's going to make such a huge difference for them because everything's going to be in one place, and they're not going to have to try so hard to link everything. And it just looks nicer, man. It's just cleaner, and I'm all about that. So if you're not organized, this might be a challenge for you, but it'll save you a lot of time and headache. So the file and folder structure can vary from project to project. Create your own naming conventions and structures that best suit your project. Like I said, you can take mine, go for it. You can apply your own. There's no perfect way or right or wrong way to do it. Whatever makes sense and works for you, really. Because I know some people might have better systems. I don't care. Or like, not that I don't care. It's just like, go for it. If it works, it works.